What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 59 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by the coolest dudes in video games, Colin Moriarty and Greg Miller. And for the first time ever on the show, we have the one and only Jeremy Dunham.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
I feel really honored right now. I feel like I'm in the presence of some legacy shit going on.
Sure.
You know?
Dunham gave me my job.
Yeah.
Got me started on all this. You wouldn't even be in the spare bedroom if not for him, Tim.
It's like Grandpa has come home.
It's great. And Nick's not even here. That's weird. Today's going to be a good show. This one's definitely going to be worth $1. And if you believe that, you would know because you're over at patreon.com/kindoffunnygames where you get all this stuff early. And if not, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames every week. This show will be broken up topic by topic, day by day until the full thing is released on Friday.
You're doing me proud.
Thank you. I felt pretty good about that.
One
intro.
day you'll have someone in your spare bedroom.
Yeah.
And they'll give that speech.
That's Kevin.
Kevin's given that speech before in your spare bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin said a lot of things in my spare bedroom, Greg.
I don't want to know about any of them.
No. So we're going to get right into this. We don't even need a rigmarole. People know what this show is.
Sure.
Yep.
Video games. We talk about them. We do all that stuff. What are your most anticipated video games?
That's where we're starting today.
Yeah, that's right where we're starting. I want to do the top 5 most anticipated games for 2016. Let's start with you.
Jeremy Dunham.
Oh man, my
creator
top 5.
of Rocket League.
Not creator of Rocket League.
He
No.
made Rocket
We
League
should do
all by
one at a
himself.
time and go around the table. I think that'd be more fun, personally.
That's a good call.
I don't have them in particular order, so.
Oh, yeah, are we in ordering them? Should
No,
we order them?
No, let's just throw
Okay.
them out there because I'm feeling there's going to be a lot of overlap. And if there is overlap, Colin had the idea that we should come up with more than 5 so we can.
I have
kinda
10, so there's no overlap.
Okay, I got a whole bunch,
Personally.
too. We'll be fine.
Well, the first one for me is The Division. I've been waiting for that game for a long time. It looks great. A lot of people at work are anxious to play it. They're involved in the beta. I love the atmosphere. It's basically like The Last of Us in a giant multiplayer setting. So I think for me that is the most intriguing multiplayer game outside of Rocket League that I've seen in a while. I just because there's that undertone of story going on, even though it doesn't really have a story. Which, by the way, it's a Tom Clancy game.
Mm-hmm.
Story would be good.
There's a story. You get to play single player and run around and do stuff.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. There's a certain point, and again, I'm old, but there's a point in my life where I just expected a lot of narrative on all my single player games.
That's faded away though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is you and I being old school. I mean, that's not how it is anymore. My number one was The Division as well, and I think it's stupid that we can't do it. So I'm just going to talk with Jeremy during his.
You can talk. You can do that. I just feel like you
no,
talk
it's
about
fine.
more games.
Give 5 honorable mentions as always.
I will.
Cool.
I will give honorable mentions to anything that's
it's
not
like, and I
mentioned.
like that you have 10 on your list. You're going to go through all 10 of them, of course.
Well,
You're not
maybe.
just going to
We'll
give
see.
them all
We'll see
5.
what happens.
No, I mean that's what I'm stoked about for The Division is the ability to go in there and play by myself and earn XP and grind out this character and then take them into the dark zone and go play with friends and go see what Scott Lowe's up to or whatever, kick it around.
Yeah, I just like the fact that it's yet another post-apocalyptic game, but it's a different take on it, and I actually like games that take familiar tropes and then try to do them in a different way, especially bringing in something as fun as multiplayer is if you have the right group of people.
Sure. And that's what it is for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think when I look at this, it seems like the Destiny I would have wanted. Third person on Earth. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like space. You know what I mean? All these fake purple people, whatever. But in New York, in this post-apocalyptic world, sure, of course, I'm in for that. And in third person, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna remember
Make
that.
my character
I'm
look
gonna remember that you don't like space when one of these games comes up that inevitably has.
You know
space.
it. I've said this before. There's exceptions to the rule.
I'm sure.
That's just I'll never understand that. I get people not liking certain things and you're not liking fantasy or not liking this or that, but not liking space just as a general idea is kind of weird.
Takes it out of you.
just like
look
things
at this guy who speaks my language but is a floating squid. Cool.
You
But
would
your favorite superhero is an alien.
Who came to Earth and adopted the United States in middle of America values and identifies himself more as Clark Kent than Superman. When Superman's an alien and Kryptonian, that's when I lose interest.
You wouldn't like my game idea then. One of the game ideas that I've been half joking pitching around the office is to do a real-time space travel game. So
it takes 9 years to get to it.
Exactly. So it's really just stars and you're just launching from the Earth and you're taking off and getting as far as you can, but it's real time.
Okay.
So it's basically a race to see you can get to the moon first and then Mars and keep going. It's a terrible idea, but it's
Sounds a little bit like Tharsis.
yeah. Well, but terrible.
I like how even you don't like the idea.
I don't. I just like to bring it up because a part of me thinks that somewhere out there, somebody actually might be interested in that kind of game, especially if you made it kind of social and you put some leaderboards. How far did you make it? The awesome thing would be, I say awesome in quotes, is that if you made it at a certain point and you get hit by space debris, you have to start over again. That to me, I think, would be the ultimate in proving people's dedication and to see just how nuts they are. It's probably just me.
It's not
Next
crazy.
level
It's not a
permadeath.
crazy of an idea.
Yeah.
By the way, The Division I think is a great choice.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get our codes and start playing it as soon as possible. Don't know when they're coming through, but the game looks awesome. I will not probably be playing it online very much. I might try it a little bit online, see like how it is. But I agree with you. I think the setting and the story, or at least the perceived story, or the suggested story, is very cool. New York City in perpetual Christmas. Because of the Black Friday
And
plague or whatever, and it looks like it's all Midtown Manhattan, so it's several miles, and I don't know. I think it's cool. I mean, a lot of games when you really step back and think about it, a lot of games actually don't take place in New York. So it's like, you know, it's cool to have post-apocalyptic New York is ripe for storytelling, and so I'm excited about it too. I hope it's good.
Been
And I
doing
think it's going to
movies
be.
for years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your turn.
I mean, I'm just gonna steal you all, motherfuckers. Uncharted 4.
Of course.
Like the thing is, making my list, it is the number one that I'm most anticipating, and I
Sure.
think it's because it's soon. We know that it's actually coming, so it's like, yeah, I can talk about Kingdom Hearts, or I can talk about these games that I've been waiting for fucking years. But it's like, yeah, right. You know, this is something that I know is gonna come, and I know I'm gonna love. Like, I feel like.
Did you watch the story trailer today?
Yeah, I did, and I'm super stoked.
Looked
about it.
awesome, right?
Yeah, it's like that's exactly what I want.
That's
It's
what
like,
I want.
as bad as that game can be, that's still amazing. Like I can't imagine the game not being, you know,
It's going to be exceptional. Everyone knows that.
exceptional. Like that's the thing. It's like at worst it's exceptional. So I'm super stoked for it. I'm excited that it's soon and that like we're getting to the point where it's like what 2 months away now.
Yeah, April.
That's like, man, we're about to hit that. It's been a while since I've had a game that I've been like a AAA game that I've been like super stoked and super excited for.
That's
like,
why I'm
I've been
so
playing, like,
sad.
Fire Emblem and all that stuff.
I'm
but that's
sad,
not-
you know what I mean? Like today during the trailer, like when it kicks up with the music, like haunting, like I was saying, a whisper on the wind, like it got me like not choked up, but I, sad that it's almost over, that this is the end of Nathan's story and that we've been around this long. And you watch the thing, and I thought it was, surprising they put Elena with the baby and they showed her with the baby on her hip. But it was exciting. It was what I want.
You spoiled Golden Abyss for me. You're gonna do that?
Yeah, sure.
I like seeing all the characters. Like I like that there was so many characters that we don't know who they are.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
That's something that Uncharted's so good at is each game has its kind of cast, and everyone loves Uncharted for the characters. And I think that that's not just the main characters, but it's also the supporting and the
your
villains
Cutters,
and
your
this-
Chloes. and
Exactly.
this.
And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like I like that it's not just the same people. Again, maybe they'll make appearances here and
Sure.
there, but I like that there seems to be a new cast.
This,
and
it looks
I'm
like
sure they're
it's a
gonna have
hook up to
moments.
Drake's old life, right? What him and Sam were up to before. And of course, it looks beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, even those quick montage moments today, I was like, shit, that looks better than you'd expect it to, and you expect it to look awesome.
Exactly. What about you, Greg?
Opening my list here now, since I can't double up on anything.
You
Of
can
course,
double up on everybody wrong. I'm
number
just trying to
one was
introduce
the-
more games. Isn't
Number
it-
one was The Division. Number 2 was Uncharted 4.
But wouldn't it be
Number 3.
Wouldn't it be more interesting to talk about more
Number
games?
3, which is my number 1, is Persona 5. My
Mm.
number 1 pick now is Persona 5. Can't wait for Persona 5. Got a little tuxedo mask. Got to run around. Because that's the thing. Love Persona 4, of course. Jeff Haynes, of course, started me down this path with Persona 3.
Yeah. Literally.
And now to see it build to this point where Persona 5 is going to be fucking huge. It's going to be insane to watch this game come out and dominate people and have them be so into it. But even when we saw that first trailer for Persona 5, it wasn't what I was expecting it to look like, right? I'm so used to Persona 4. I'm so used to Persona 3. To see it when you're running around and you're jumping from chandelier to chandelier, and it's like this mix of Catherine's, visuals, but obviously up-res and this, that, and the other, and you're running around like the style of the trailer, and I'm like, fuck yeah, this is going to be amazing. Because that's another thing. Like, I can't wait for Uncharted, obviously. Uncharted's more of what I want. Persona's more than of what I want. And the thing about it is, like, Uncharted's gonna be done in a weekend, if that. You know what I mean? Like, we're probably gonna get it, and I'm just gonna destroy that game.
Yeah.
Then I'll come back and destroy it for the platinum or whatever, and then be sad that it's all over. Whereas Persona's gonna be with me for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna be long.
Yeah.
As always.
I feel like the game's been really quiet. We haven't heard anything for
which is
a
good.
long
I want
time.
that. I don't need to know anymore. You know what I mean? It's Persona. It looks cool. All right, great. Hit the date this year.
Yeah.
They'll hit it. They'll come out this year.
I know.
All right, Colin. Bust it out. The glasses. It's time. It's my favorite part of the show.
Mass Effect Andromeda, which Greg is not allowed to be into
I
because
am
he doesn't
on there.
like space games.
I'm Colin. I don't like superheroes. Batman's cool. I like Batman. I like Dark Knight Rises. The best
I always
film
made the
ever.
caveat that I like Batman.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause he's a
You know
different-
that I like
he's a
Mass
different-
Effect.
he's a
You
different young man.
know that Mass Effect Andromeda was number 5 on my list.
Pulling up the rig.
Now I'm not convinced Mass Effect Andromeda is actually going to come out this year. I hope it does.
Of course not.
But I'm super excited to see what they do with Mass Effect. I think Mass Effect 3 was a fantastic game. I think the games got better. I know that's not a very popular opinion. But I do miss the role-playing components of the original Mass Effect. I think that there were a lot of babies out there that complained way too much about the original Mass Effect and had a lot of that shit stripped out of Mass Effect for Mass Effect 2.
Mm-hmm.
Mass Effect was a game all about the minutiae. It was all about the little things, and that stuff was really removed. And we know that the mate goes back in the game, and we know all this kind of stuff that's different now. I think we've heard a bunch of interesting things about it. So, or at least those were the compelling rumors. So I want to see how the game does and what the story is going to be. And ultimately, as I've said before, I am convinced this trilogy will connect back to the original Mass Effect and back to this galaxy. And there will be some sort of story component that will connect the two series, whether or not saves can be crossed over or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't think saves can, because that would be the telltale sign. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would be.
But they might not do that kind of stuff until maybe the third game, and then say go back and maybe carve out some other shit. Or what choices did you make similar to the Wii U version of the game when you couldn't, or the PS3 version of Mass Effect 2, because we didn't get Mass Effect 1 until later. But I'm super interested to see how the series evolves, but how it also goes back to its roots and really gets back to being a role-playing game again, because that was one of the unfortunate things, is that even though the game I think mechanically got better, I think the story was very good. I loved how the original Mass Effect, or Mass Effect 3 started, on Earth, and you go to a lot of familiar places, and Earth being destroyed basically in the very beginning of the game. Spoilers for anyone who's played Mass Effect 3. You've had plenty of time. I want them to get back to the roots of what made it a role-playing game, and not having a finite amount of experience as you did in Mass Effect 3, and not having kind of stripped out systems that I think cater to more of a casual gamer. And I don't think that's what Mass Effect was about. And I don't mean that as an insult. I just mean that we need it to be a role-playing game again. And I hope that they do that. So I'm super interested to see how it's been incubating for a long time. I think the game's going to be very vast. I think it's going to be very grand. Super excited about it. Just hoping it hits this year, but I just don't know if it's really going to or not.
First Mass Effect is still my favorite one. It was it was such a traditional BioWare RPG when it came out. It just reminded me of all the other ones that they had done just in space. Your favorite place. But I don't know. Andromeda, I think, even though I'm looking forward to it, doesn't make my top 5 list, simply because I'm so far behind. I still haven't even played 3, and so I want to get.
Oh, sorry, I spoiled it for you.
It's all right. I was ignoring.
It's on Earth.
But there's this weird part of my brain that shuts off that if I haven't played a game in the series, that I'm not allowed to look forward to the next one.
Sure.
Because I'm afraid that I'll ruin the experience that I haven't had yet, as bizarre as that sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to look forward to that game because I've always liked the universe and I like the characters, and I think those guys make fantastic RPGs, but I've got to wait. So I probably won't be able to catch up with you until 2 years from now or so.
No, fair enough.
I have to play 3.
Mass Effect 3, I'll be interested to see what you think of 3. It's a very divisive game. 2 is so fantastic, I think, from a storytelling perspective, that I think some people were really hard on 3, but I do think it's a situation where it's a hard game to follow up. But I think if you really look at it from a bird's eye view, it's a better game. It just, on a systems level, it's not a role-playing game anymore at all.
Mass Effect 2 is the best, I thought, and I hope they go for that with Andromeda.
What's next on your list, Jeremy?
Outlast 2.
Ooh.
That's a good choice.
I love horror games in general. They take me to another place that other games usually don't. And those guys really know how to make horror games very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
A part of me wishes I was saying PT, but
Yeah. I know.
but they fantastic. The atmosphere. I love the fact that they're going to a more traditional scary place, like outside in the woods. That's really interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I love the style they have, and even though it's sort of established with all the night vision, and all that, it's been used in a lot of other games. They do it very, very well.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that even me, someone who's been watching horror films since before I could talk. Literally, the second film I ever saw was Halloween. First one was Star Wars. Second one was Halloween.
My God.
Yeah, it explains a lot.
Yes.
But that even that has me feel moments of tension and genuine jump scares. I think that's the sign of a really good horror game. So that's one of the games I'm really looking forward to, simply because it's one of the games that actually works.
Yeah.
Just like Until Dawn worked for me last year. It was a fantastic game. I'm really looking forward to that one this year.
No, that's
for
great,
horror.
man. Outlast 1, it got the pacing right to horror and to the jump scares and to the mix of gameplay versus just kind of like atmosphere. And I'm excited for Outlast 2 as well. It's not on my list, but it's damn good.
The original Outlast I thought was clever, which is the best word I can think to explain it, because you're right. Like using the night vision mechanic through the camera, I think was kind of a really cool thing, and capturing scenes that you didn't know you were supposed to see for trophies or just to be a completionist or whatever. I thought it was
Yeah.
really cool. The story components were cool. It did suffer from a lot of what I think a lot of horror and good thrillers suffer from, which is a bad ending.
Of course.
It's hard for them to wrap this shit up in a way that's compelling to people. Like the buildup is always, even Until Dawn suffered from that. But like, I just wish it ended differently, but I don't know how I would have ended it any differently.
All horror games, in my opinion, and most horror movies, if not all of them, are always going to have that problem forever. Because one of the things that works really well with horror is the less you know, the more effective it is. And in games where you're forced to give people some context and background to keep them involved for longer than an hour, you keep having to explain things and show things that your imagination is no longer filling in the blanks. Now you're finding out specifically what the creator wanted, and if it doesn't jive with what you wanted in your head, it kind of takes away from that experience.
Sure.
So I think that's always going to be, that's one of the things that I go in with all horror games, is knowing like, well, they're probably going to have some moment in the game where I'm ruined by the fact that whatever direction they went isn't the way that I would go. But I just love the fact that I can still be caught up in a particular moment, and that moment, that the memory of that moment overshadows everything. Like the first time in the first Outlast, when you're first going up the window, and you get in, and a couple seconds later you turn that hall, and there's that jump scare you're not expecting, because up until that point it's quiet and eerie. That one little moment still is memorable to me, even though there's a much bigger game beyond that, just simply because of that one way that it hooked me. And so I think that's the way I approach horror games, is what are the moments that really kept me coming back, like the dog through the window in Resident Evil, and the first Silent Hill, when you're walking down that alley and the camera changes just so uncomfortably, and you're like, what the hell's going on here? Right before the babies start running out. So yeah, that's what it is about horror games that I enjoy.
My favorite genre is and will always be platformers, specifically 2D platformers. So Cuphead coming in at number 2. It was a race between that and Uncharted for number 1, because I'm really excited for Cuphead. The one thing that I'm waiting to see is if it's only boss battles or if there is more actual platforming to it. And like I people keep telling me like, oh, they show platforming stuff, but I haven't seen any of it anywhere. So I think it is just boss fights. But even if that's true, like I'm still so stoked for it. I love the look of that game. I love the whole point of it, what their goals are. It seems like they're just nailing. So I'm very, very excited to finally actually play through that thing.
I like how it looks. Love the style. Looks way. From the playing of it, I'm just like, this is way too hard. Like I just won't enjoy this. I'll get frustrated and stop really early.
See, I think it's going to be a good level of frustrating. Like, I think it's going to be like the type of, because I'm not Colin when it comes to games where like I don't want like the hardest thing in the world, but I think the Cuphead, it's going to be very trial and error, and you're going to play the boss fight 20 times before you
figure
win.
out the pattern.
But that is the gameplay, and I think that they're gonna, because they know that, they're gonna really focus on making sure that it's fun and that it's the good frustrating, not the bad frustrating. So it's the type of frustrating that you lose 15 times, turn it off, come back the next day, and your third time in, beat it, and you're like, yes,
it all clicked.
Yeah. So I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, what's more sad? I mean, first of all, Cuphead's art is awesome. What a great novel idea for a game. And I think that even though games weren't around in the 30s, which is in the 20s when this is really kind of based, or like this art style is based, it does seem congruent with a hard game. I don't think Cuphead can be anything but brutally hard. That's why I like it. I do like games that are hard. I like boss fights. I remember being a kid and playing some platformers like where the game would like bring you to tears. It was so hard. Like, and I like that kind of shit. Like where I'm like. Because it's satisfying. Who wants to play a game that's easy? Who fucking likes easy games? It's so boring. Like give me a game that's hard. Ramp up the difficulty and challenge me. I'm not here to fucking twiddle my thumbs. Like annoy me a little bit if you have to. But you're right. The satisfaction of getting through a difficult 2D side scroller boss fight. I'll never forget. Especially at the end of Castlevania 3, the boss fights get insane. And when you're fighting Dracula at the end, like you're like, how the fuck can you even beat this? But you continue on it, then you beat Dracula, and then you realize you have to fight him again, and you like lose your mind. But like when you finally see that ending, it's just satisfying. It's like compare that to Castlevania 2, where you're fighting Dracula at the end and you just destroy him in 2 seconds with the flame whip, and it's like very anticlimactic. And the game's all about speedrunning, basically.
Different type of game though, because Castlevania 2 was sort of Xanadu like, where you're collecting all these different items and powering your character up over a lot of exploration. So the idea behind that game was you've already paid your dues, so just spending a lot of time powering yourself up and getting there. But I used to be of the same mind, but then as I get older and I have less time, I don't want hard games anymore. Now I want games that I can sit down and enjoy in a small amount of time and feel like I progressed somewhere. Like in the past when we were still in the media together, I loved hard games. I reviewed Devil May Cry 3, and that game on hard mode was crazy, and I loved that stuff. But now, when I've only have an hour of playtime, I want to be able to sit down and feel like I've gone through an entire chapter of something or 2 levels of something. And so to me, time is the great enemy of a difficult game. And that's why when it first came out, I loved something like Alien Hominid. And now when I sit down and my daughters show interest in wanting to play Alien Hominid because I see it in my library, I'm like, I don't want to play this right now. Because we're not going to get very far.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just feel like the time is so valuable now that hard is in the way. But Cuphead, ironically, Cuphead was also on my top 5.
Oh, that's great. I mean, it reminds me of Shovel Knight a lot, where Shovel Knight's hard, but it's not hard.
Yeah, Shovel Knight could have been and should have been way harder, I think.
But see, I enjoyed what it was. Like, to me, that's perfect. I think Cuphead's going to be a similar vibe to that, where maybe a little more challenging because it's more boss focused than, just platforming. But I like it where it's challenging, not brutal.
Right. Yeah, no, I respect that. And not every game has to be like that. You're not playing Gone Home for any difficulty. You're playing it for the experience. So I think that there's something different to that. And I like games that have scaling difficulty, so that you don't have to worry about those kinds of things. I always ramp up my Call of Duty campaigns to veteran because I think it's the most interesting that way. But to your point, this year I haven't even played the new Call of Duty yet, and I'm actually just play it on normal or just to get it out of the way because I know I don't have the extra 10 hours that's going to add on to it as I crawl pixel by pixel or frame by frame through these fucking stages because I can only get hit once. So I get you. But like for this kind of game particularly, like I just think that 2D side scrollers and difficulty go hand in hand, and I want them as hard as you can make them. Like that's good stuff. I want a game. I want a game that I know that I think I can't beat, and that just doesn't happen anymore. I know I can beat these games, and I want a game where it's like I don't know, man. Like I haven't encountered a game like that in a long time. Like we always talk about like Battletoads or something. A World at War, Call of Duty World at War on veteran was fucking impossible. Like it was just impossible. The people have done it, but like
I did it.
The grenade spam in that game and the monster closets in that game are insane.
Yeah,
and the videos of people on YouTube just running through the stages to hit the next checkpoint, not even fighting anything. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. It's so hard.
I have OCD in some would say severely, but I have to get all of the achievements in a game or trophies in a game if I'm playing it, or at least attempt to, and that was one of them. So that was me. I kept trying to run through the checkpoints when I was going for that in World at War, and I never got them because they had online achievements that were messed up, so I never even got it. But in my head, I was going through it, and it was a nightmare. I hated it, and that was one of the games that pushed me over the edge.
That's the last game I think I played for trophies where I'm like I can't. Like I remember like the grenade icon would appear, and then like 5 more grenade icons would appear, and then like another grenade, and then just everything just explodes. I'm like, what are you supposed to do? You
couldn't move.
It was so badly programmed in that respect. Yeah, but I digress.
Greg.
Number 5, which is really my number 2.
Got it. Okay.
Because of your restrictions,
yes.
Timothy.
Uh-huh.
Lego Dimensions, the next generation. Whatever comes after May 10th. That's all we know. May 10th, Wave 5 comes out. What's Wave 6? Is it Lego Dimensions 2? What else is happening? We've been promised that our portals will work for 3 years. I am ready to see what happens next.
Harry Potter.
Guaranteed. It has to be, you know what I mean? But do they put out another disc, or is it just more level packs with Harry Potter and stuff in there? How are they going to play this one? Very interested at the business model. Here's what I'm going to say. Clearly, Ghostbusters is a huge Lego success. I got the firehouse in the room. I got the Ecto 1 out there. I got the level pack out there. Kevin and I dressed as Ghostbusters and played it. They were in the game, right? What does this mean for this female Ghostbusters crew? We've already seen the little minifigs of them out there. We've seen their Kevin, not our Kevin, their Kevin riding the little Ecto 2. What does that mean for Lego Dimensions or any Lego game, period? What does Star Wars mean for Lego Dimensions? I thought when Disney bought up all this stuff, put out Disney Infinity, put Star Wars in Disney Infinity, I'm like, well, no more Star Wars on Lego ever again. And then here we are, Force Awakens, Lego game. So what does that mean now for getting them into Lego Dimensions? Is it possible? Am I allowed to dream that might happen?
You want that BB-8?
I want BB-88. You said it wrong. I want Watto. I want Kylo Ren. I want all of my favorite Star Trek guys in this game ready to go and do their thing. And I don't mind if they're just level packs. That's fine. It's just what could possibly be coming is the excitement here. You know what I mean? What the fuck could else happen? Because we've had so many good things. It was successful. We saw it do well. What does it mean now? What's the next level pack? I'm excited for the future of Lego Dimensions in 2016.
Well, it's Warner Brothers. They have a lot of stuff in there. So.
Yeah, but I mean, like the thing is, I'm surprised. Like the big thing is, and if you saw this on Twitter, Neil Druckmann was playing Lego Dimensions and said, how do I get Uncharted in it? And I hooked him up with a TT Games. Will that go anywhere? Who the fuck knows? But Uncharted in Lego Dimensions? Come the fuck on. You kidding me?
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think you'll see Suicide Squad. Simply because it's WB and or at least some of the characters, they might not want to use the phrase Suicide Squad on a kid's game, but you might see like Harley Quinn.
Harley's already in it, not movie version.
Right,
that's the big thing is like being a big, comic book nerd and everything, DC nerd in particular, is that, I hope they do where, all right, cool, and there's also, we already have the DC universe. There's already a DC portal to get into, but now here's the DC cinematic universe, and that's when you can put Aquaman, Batman, all these different guys
all
in
that
there.
stuff,
Armored Batman stuff, I will fucking lose my mind.
Colin M.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep.
Is definitely a game. I think this will hit in 2016. I think this is going to be the big fall game on PS4. And what can be said about it? They've been real quiet about it. I think that's good. We have a little bit more to learn about it. We don't know how the systems work. We don't know how customization works and what the world really looks like and how the flow of the game goes. But the combat that we've seen so far is dynamic. The story is very interesting, a synthesis of a world that has died with a world that is like reverted back to like almost a caveman or Stone Age technology. But they have like these metal robots walking around. No one can explain what the hell's going on.
Looks awesome.
It looks fucking really dope. I think that this is going to be Guerrilla's really coming out party in terms of like what they're really capable of, because I think Killzone is fine, but I think it's held them back. I think that there's a lot of stagnation at that studio. I think that there was probably a lot of energy to do something different. They have not made a game that is not Killzone since like NAM 67, which I think came out like 12 years ago. So it's like, let them breathe a little bit and let them do their thing. I don't think we've seen the last of Killzone, but I think that we are going to see something super interesting from them. And they hired the writer of New Vegas, so it's clearly going to be very quest-based, which I think is very exciting. And I'm interested to see if this game's long. I'm interested to see if this game's dense. My assumption that this is going to be a very Far Cry-like game in terms of its size and its scope, which I think is going to be just fine. So it's not going to be like The Witcher or Fallout, which is fine. But I'm, we only saw one portion of the game, those little dinosaurs that you have to like kind of get some scrap off of, and then you fight that big dinosaur creature. And I saw it behind closed doors, and they showed it, to everyone in Paris and at E3, and like they show you just different ways to do that part. And I think that that's really cool, and I hope the whole game plays like that. So I think Horizon's going to be really big. Like I think that if Horizon turns out the way it should turn out and is what it is in this period of open world games, in this period of third person role playing games being very big, this could be the next Uncharted in terms of like a huge franchise for them, if it is as good as it seems like it's going to be. And they have to really nail that. And so I think that they should take their time and not hit 2016 if they don't think they're going to be able to do that. But I'm so excited about Horizon. I think that this is a huge trump card for them over at Sony.
Looks fantastic. I love the art style, and I like the fact that they are doing something other than Killzone.
Yeah,
because you get stuck when you get stuck doing the same game for too long, and you just feel like you're creatively stifled. At Zipper, when I was there, the studio had been working on nothing but SOCOM games for a long time, and then we moved on and did MAG. And even though MAG wasn't a huge departure from SOCOM, it was different enough to where it felt like a completely different game. And it was in a lot of respects, but it was still military based and themed and shooter. But just being able to stretch your legs in any creative sense whatsoever after working on a franchise so long usually brings such an excitement to it that it's hard to hold it back, and that usually gives you really good results in the type of game that you get. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to bring forth. The game looks awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited about it too. When I saw that trailer, when they first revealed it, I was like, I want that game. I want to play that game. Yeah.
I'm not an open world guy. I'm like, that doesn't look like my type of game, but that looks like my type of game, which excites me. Because I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, this looks fucking cool. And it also doesn't look too big. I'm like, this looks manageable and I like it. And I'm going to die.
It's going to be interesting to see when you get on that map and get quests and how it all works, shakes out and where it goes. Yeah.